I spent years of my life going out to bars and clubs to try and meet women, because honestly, that's what I thought was the only option besides online dating, or maybe the occasional party. And while I did have some fun nights out, what I eventually realized is that I don't prefer meeting women in bars and clubs, because at my core, I'm a nerd, and I would much rather spend my time on a hike, at a conference, at a board game cafe, or at a speaker event. And the times that I really do enjoy going to bars and clubs are when I'm with my friends and just hanging out, or when I'm taking somebody I'm already dating, but they are not my ideal environments to meet women. I'm Nick Notas, and today I'm going to give you 5 types of environments that you can go out to where you'll actually enjoy being in, that they'll play to your strengths, and you can build a social life you love that coincidentally overlap with where you can meet women you're interested in. Because we all want to find potential great romantic partners, and even though these places might be just general social spaces, many people are open to meeting someone that they might be into. Number 1 is environments based on commonalities. Because if you share a similar interest with somebody, and you both know that you're investing your time in this, and you're intrigued by it, and you're passionate about it, then on an instinctive level, you feel like you must have some sort of connection, because you are alike. This is how tribes have been formed of all sorts for thousands of years. Even think of something like CrossFit, where people are so dedicated to it, but if you go to a CrossFit event, it's so easy to start making friends and talk to one another because you know that you're all there for the same reason. If you're next to somebody in a yoga class and they're holding a pose that you really have been trying to work on, it's totally natural for you to comment on that and say, hey, that's really impressive. I've been trying to nail that for the last week. How long did it take you to be able to do that? If you're in a cooking class, it's totally normal to look over and comment on that person's finished product and ask them about their technique, or be curious if there's any tips that they have for you, or vice versa, be able to extend tips to them and show them what's worked for you. So I want you to think about alumni events, or conferences and conventions, or music and art festivals, museum social nights, volunteering or fundraising for a cause, political rallies, any kind of niche hobby or class like rock climbing, photography, or improv. When somebody knows you're into the same things, they automatically feel like you're part of their tribe. Number 2 is environments with your friends or extended social circle. We as humans trust the opinions of our closest friends. If one of them tells us, hey, you should totally talk to this person, we hear that really well and we're much more open to it. That's why a personal referral, whether it's in business or even sometimes in romance, is maybe the strongest way to be introduced to somebody. So if I'm at a party and one of my friends is the host and he walks up and introduces me to somebody else and says, hey, have you met Nick? You guys really get along. You're both kind of into a lot of outdoorsy stuff. We're both going to go into that with a much more open mind and a much less judgmental headspace, because we know that we have friends in common and we don't want to sour our social circle. So I want you to think about weddings, birthday parties, pool parties, house parties, a friend's music or art show, a friend's work event, or a co-working space where a lot of your friends are part of. Number 3 is environments where you already have value. There's a psychological and social phenomenon called social proof, where basically we try to interpret our own behaviors based on how other groups of people are behaving around a certain person. And if a group of strangers seems to gravitate towards or enjoy the company of a certain individual, we're much more likely to immediately imagine that person as valuable, cool, or interesting. So think of like a performer who goes up on stage, like a singer or a guitar player. Everyone in that place is having a good time because of it and loves their music. Then when they walk off stage, what do people do? They start to like gravitate towards them, they'll buy them drinks, and even people will throw themselves at them. Because in that moment, we see everybody really like that person, and therefore we see them as valuable too. And there are a few ways to do this, like befriending the staff or becoming a regular at a certain place like a coffee shop, where you just greet them often and you make small talk, and the staff sees you coming in and they light up and they greet you and they call your name, and everyone around is like, who is this person? And now they're curious to want to find out themselves. You can showcase your existing skills, and if you're good at something, share that with others. So maybe you show up your art at a random gallery, or again, you are a musician and you go up even in a small local show, or you speak at a conference, or you take a class at something that you're already pretty decent at. Like if you're already good at salsa, then go join a salsa class and immediately you will stand out. Or you start hosting something or inviting friends to go out and do an activity together. Because if you host a party and you are bringing people together, then you are bringing the value to that party, and generally the host is seen as the most interesting person there. And the same applies if you want to go to a brewery or axe throwing, invite a bunch of friends, tell them to bring their friends, and then once again, you're the person that brought all these people together for this really awesome experience. Number 4 is environments where you're rare or unique. In general, contrast stands out to us humans, and we really value things that are different or unique. It's why we love trailblazers and people who create startups or shake up an industry altogether, like a lot of people who love Elon Musk. We appreciate those who deviate from the norm. So if you're a guy, you could take a paint bar class or a cooking class or even any kind of Latin dancing, where in general, you're going to see a higher ratio of women to men. And guess what? You're immediately standing out as one of the few potential options. This principle of being novel or scarce or standing out also works in environments like small parties or small dinner parties. My friend hosts these kind of small dinner parties with 8, 12, 15 people, and I noticed something really interesting always happened. Let's say there's a single guy and you're one of only 6 men there, and a few of them are with a couple and maybe some of them are taken, and guess what? You're one of the 2 available options in the room. And what inevitably happens is that women will see you as the 1 or 2 potential options there. And because of that, they know that you're a scarce resource, and so they'll give you more opportunity. They'll talk to you longer, they'll be more open to actually getting to know you, and as we all know, familiarity breeds fondness. So ironically, a lot of people go to big parties, and sometimes I'd see people hook up, but not always. But when I go to sometimes small parties, I see a high ratio of people finding potential partners or getting together because of the limitations, and we know that we have to pick one option before it's too late. And number 5 is environments where you know you're going to see the same people again. And this works for 2 reasons. One, because when we know that we're going to see the same people again, kind of like when we know that they're involved in our social circle, we can't really be a jerk to them. Because then if we are, then the next time we see them, it's going to be super awkward and it might ruin our social space or the things that we love to do. The other thing goes back to my previous point, which is familiarity breeds fondness. The more that we get to interact with somebody and we really get to see the nuances of their personality, we share a few moments, we open up together, then we naturally start to feel closer to those people. This is why over the years, plenty of people have gotten together from work or work functions because they spend time with those people over and over and over, and they start to develop some sorts of feelings for them. And it's the reason why our men's retreats work, where we can get 8 strangers in a room that maybe live from all over the world with different values and different backgrounds, and yet after 4 days really spending a lot of time together, many of them become super close friends and end up hanging out and even going on trips together on their own in the future. So I want you to think of environments like retreats or hostels or really tight-knit classes like CrossFit or SoulCycle, social clubs, sports clubs, school clubs, or backpacking and travel groups. When you see the same faces, it's hard not to feel close to some of them. Don't make meeting people harder than it needs to be. Instead, choose environments that work to your advantage. Do some research on some clubs or meetups or hobbies, or Google an event calendar around you and pick places that'll do the work for you. And if you want to start meeting more people and being more social, give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe.